Hey everyone, Kerry here again. Check out any of my previous videos that I've made this season by going to the bottom of any page at neighborhoodchurch.com. Click on the link to our church's YouTube channel and you'll find my videos on there, along with a lot of other great resources. So, why are we in the kitchen? Well, as you may guess, during this quarantine season, we've been cooking a lot more lately here at home. And one of the great things that I've been loving is that my wife has been making homemade bread. And oh, the smell of fresh baking bread going all through the house for hours. It's the best. Another thing that my wife's been doing that's awesome is she's ordered these weekly shipments of fruits and vegetables that come in all the time each week. And it's been great because it's been helping me have a more balanced diet. Because honestly, I think I'd like to eat a whole loaf of fresh baked bread for dinner. I would want to do that. But what are we talking about food for, right? Well, one thing that we have to think about is having a well-balanced diet of food. We also need a well-balanced diet of information. And let's face it, with this pandemic on, we want new information. We want to stay up to date. We want to know what's coming up, what the next thing is, but that can sometimes lead to information overload. And I ended up learning this the hard way. See, as I grew up into adulthood, I began to feel ashamed or embarrassed when I'd have to not be aware of certain current events. And people would come to me and say, Kerry, did you just hear this news flash? Did you hear what this country did? Did you hear, this leader's decision or this huge problem, or look what we're about to lose, or look at this crisis around the corner? And I would have to say, no, I haven't heard. I don't know. And so I resolved to never have to say, I don't know, again. So I started listening to news podcasts every day. I listened to the news on the radio every drive to work and every drive back. I started reading articles and commentary online, and I became so up to date that I felt like I could go anywhere. I could go to church or parties or out and about shopping and just bump into anyone, and I was informed. I knew what was going on. I knew what to say, and man, I looked smart. I didn't have to feel embarrassed. But, speaking of feelings, I started feeling another way too. I started feeling a lot more stress. You see, the more I was inundated with news and the more I just drank and ate from news, the more I kept reading about, this murder, this crisis, this warning, this movement, this coming storm, this scare you have to know about. The more I looked into all these things, the more fear I had in my heart. My diet of information was becoming unbalanced. And so I realized that this was starting to affect my moods. It was starting to affect my attitude. And so I found a more well-balanced diet. I started to take things in smaller portions. I started to take things from more healthy sources. And I started to try to develop the discipline to know when enough was enough, when to stop. And it reminds me of an ancient insight that comes from the Bible. It's in 2 Timothy 1:7. And that says, "For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." Now, I'm not advocating ignorance, but since I've developed more of a healthy, well-balanced approach for consuming information, I've become a little less self-focused. I've become less fearful. And I've also reached a place where I have less anxiety. Isn't less anxiety something we can all use in this season, right? So I'd encourage you, learn from my story. Learn to consume information in small, healthy portions. Make sure that your sources are quality. And then, when you know that you've had enough, stop when enough is enough. There's a lot of information out there, but there's a lot of things out there that we don't need to know. So, I'd encourage you this season, go ahead and have a healthy, well-balanced diet of information. And I hope it serves you well. Bon appetit.